Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything from hair to fashion to skincare products. We'll talk about the latest trends in makeup, hairstyles, and anti-aging remedies. And we'll cover all of the newest fashion trends. If you have an interest in or questions about the beauty and fashion trends that might work best for you, the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast has got you covered.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colleen, and let's just get into some beauty stuff. So this week, I thought about taking it a little bit of a different turn and talk about some unsafe beauty treatments. Now, not only do I want to talk about unsafe beauty treatments in the now, I also thought it would be kind of fun to talk about unsafe beauty treatments that were really popular like once upon a time but are like extremely dangerous. I just thought I'd kind of talk about some of those and then talk about some stuff that is unsafe now, just so you can kind of understand unsafe beauty treatments. I'm not trying to deter you from beauty treatments as a whole, because they are great. Don't get me wrong. Going to have a facial's good. I mean, if you're into fillers and stuff, that can be okay too. I just want to talk about treatments that are actually unsafe. Now, let's start this off with beauty treatments that were once popular that are definitely dangerous. So, let's start with makeup that was laced with lead. Now, this was a popular thing in like 1760s, around that era. And actually, in 1760, this makeup that was laced with lead actually caused the death of the Countess of Coventry. Obviously, there's no makeup that's laced with lead anymore, but it's seriously a super dangerous thing. Let's move on to another ingredient that is definitely not a safe ingredient, and that is mercury. Now, mercury is a common ingredient in skin lightening soaps and creams. Now, mercury causes kidney damage, skin rashes, and nerve damage. And in the EU and African nations, they have banned cosmetics containing mercury. Now, I guess that there is still like a small itty bitty amount that is allowed in other countries, in some like cosmetics in other countries, but it's not enough to hurt you. I don't know. Anything that says mercury, I'm 110% the opposite direction. So let's move on to radioactive cosmetics. So I can word today, it's fine. Radioactive cosmetics were advertised as an astonishing new force for betterment. Yeah. After radiation was discovered in 1898, cosmetic companies just jumped at the chance to add it into beauty products before they even took the time to understand the potential adverse effects. In the 1920s and 1930s, Radior and Theoradia offered radioactive creams, soaps, and other products claiming to revitalize the skin with its luminous energy. I don't know. I mean, I can understand that, like, radiation's a new, big, hot thing and nobody really knows what it's doing. And even if, it's coming out that it's doing bad, these companies are like, oh, we gotta add it in. This is the new thing. This is the now. We're living in the now. We need it now kind of thing, So that was that. So definitely would stay away from radioactive cosmetics. It's really bad. Obviously terrible. any sort of radiation in general is absolutely terrible and causes death. So that's something that I'm glad has been long in the past. Now, let's move on to something I found absolutely disgusting. So I'm talking about pills containing tapeworms. Yes, this was a thing, and actually still is a thing. So, pills containing tapeworms were a method of weight loss, like in the Victorian era. And in the late 19th and 20th centuries, the ads urged people to swallow sanitized tapeworms that would offset weight gain. Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And like I said just a minute ago, is that it's still a thing that people try and do. Number one, this is not something you should do. This is 100% not something you should do. Now, in 2013, a woman in Iowa bought some of this online and tried a tapeworm or a pill containing a tapeworm and immediately went to the doctor for help because it was a terrible decision. Now, like I said, this is not something you should do. This is 100% not something you should do, and I want to deter anybody from trying to do. Stick to regular weight loss things, eating right, working out, that kind of thing. Stick to that because this is not going to help you. Now, this can cause a wide range of side effects, which can include so many things, including they explain it as rare death, not just death, but a rare death. You don't want to be a rare death, let me tell you. That sounds terrible. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about before we take a quick break is corsets. Now, people still do this, and let's talk about the 18th and 19th century. So in the 18th and 19th century, corsets were causing deformities. Women were wearing these corsets so tight that they would push the stomach and liver downwards and warp the ribs into an S shape, which ended up misaligning the spine. Now, people are using like waist trainers is what they call them, but they are corsets, and this is still a dangerous thing. They are popular, and you see them on Instagram ads, and even maybe some of your favorite Instagrammers do this kind of stuff, and it's just not safe. You can wear a corset, that's fine, but training your waist like that and just continuing to do it way too tight can really have an adverse effect on your body. So basically, if you're wearing a corset and you're wearing it way too tight every single day and just squeezing your insides in, it's going to push things into weird places. That's just how that works. So corsets are okay to wear. I've worn corsets before. They look stunning, don't get me wrong, but just make sure that if you're wearing a corset, you either get it from somebody or somewhere that does corsets and can fit it to you. That's actually 100% the best way to do it. Or if you're wearing a corset, just to take caution not to wear it for too long and not to tie it too tight. It does cause issues with breathing too, and that can be a problem. Now, this is, I don't know, I think they're beautiful, and this can be a good part of, your beauty treatment if you want to just kind of zhuzh it up a little bit for the night. But I really think that if you're going to corset, do not wear for more than a small amount of time. And on top of that, just don't cinch yourself in too much. I've worn, like I said, I've worn corsets before, and they're stunning, and they really can elevate a look to another level. But, they just pull you a little too much, a little too tight, and it can really have an adverse effect on your body. And when I've done it and I've worn them for a little too long, I'm like, no, get me out of this thing. It's too tight. I am stuffed in here. Somebody unhook me or untie me or whatever the clasps on this corset are. Also, they're kind of just uncomfortable in general. They're more of a fashion statement. And don't do it as a way to try and make yourself thinner. Once again, going with the tapeworm thing too, just stick to a regular healthy diet. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a few more older beauty treatments that were dangerous, and then go into some more new treatments that are dangerous and that you should stay away from.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, before the break, we were talking about cosmetic procedures that were dangerous way back when. Now, I want to talk about one more of those and then move on to some not just cosmetic, but beauty-related treatments that are dangerous. So let's start with the one back when. Okay, buckle in for this one. I saw this and I was like, people did this? So, fake eyelashes were once sewn on to the eyelids. Yeah, that's a thing. So, in 1988, the Dundee Courier described a painful good gosh, I cannot speak today. I am so sorry. A painful eyelash extension procedure in which a specialist sews hair onto the eyelids with a needle and a few skillful touches. Now, first off, what? This was a thing. I can't believe that this was an actual thing, and people were like, yeah, it's fine. Now, pro tip, if you want to get eyelash extensions, go now, because it's glued on. They're glued on and then they fall off and then you just have to go back. Like, that's the thing. Do be careful when getting eyelash extensions, because depending, you might be allergic to the glue. Just kind of test the waters when it comes to that kind of thing. Just be careful. That's pretty much with anything though. Even with fake eyelashes, if you are putting on fake eyelashes yourself, you should always test the glue on the back of your hand or something like that, because you might have an adverse reaction. And the skin on your eyelids is very thin, so there's a possibility that, you could just get a little bit of a reaction. Just saying. So let's move on to something now. Now, this is a little near and dear to my heart because there's a story out of where I am from. So I'm talking about vampire facials. Now, this will cost you about $1,500 to $2,500. And this was really made popular by our favorite person over here, Kim Kardashian. Now, she really made this popular. But I really started to, I had seen this everywhere on, Instagram and whatnot. But in 2018, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I am from, there was a place that had an issue with this. Now, I'm going to name this place only because they are no longer in business, and also just to be wary. So this place, VIP Spa in Albuquerque, New Mexico, had a few people contract HIV and hepatitis B and C from this procedure. Now, I heard about this and I was like, no way. This place was shut down immediately, and tested everything. They had everything tested within it, and they were positive for HIV, and that's a problem. Now, let me explain to you this procedure before you're like, wait, what? So, a vampire facial involves drawing a person's blood, separating the platelets, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, and then spreading the platelets, the platelet-rich plasma, which has been combined with like a cosmetic filler, on the face, which has been, the face itself has been punctured with microneedles. This is supposed to stimulate collagen production, also like to create new skin and remove fine lines so you look younger. So the whole thing is to remove fine lines, make you look younger, stimulate collagen production, that kind of thing. But this does involve blood. Like, you've probably seen people on Instagram or just the internet in general, where they've kind of got like blood all over their face, and this is what this is. It's called a vampire facial. And so they're basically taking your blood, they're separating out some of the stuff in the plasma of the blood. They are adding that in with some filler, like lip filler type of thing, like Juvederm kind of thing. And then they are puncturing your face with a bunch of like microneedles, and then kind of taking the blood and rubbing it all over your face. First off, I'm not a fan of this, just in general from the way it sounds. And then second off, this is something you need to be wary of no matter where you are. Because what happened in Albuquerque was the fact that this place was not using clean materials and clean this and that. And you don't know if any of the places you're going to are using something that is sterilized or whatnot. And that is something you really need to be wary about, because apparently this is still very popular. I mean, it really dropped in popularity after this story broke, and I think this was in 2018. I remember this story was like front page everywhere in Albuquerque. It was just the number one thing talked about for weeks was this place. And it's all I could read about. I mean, so when I saw it, I did a lot of digging about it because I was like, I've seen this. Like, what is this? And I asked my mother, who is a doctor, and she kind of explained it to me and explained what they did wrong in not sterilizing anything or not doing things properly. And that's really what brought it down. And she had told me not to, like, she was like, you should actually never do this anywhere just because there is such a risk when it comes to this procedure, like procedure specifically, is that it's, you know, this could be a risk anywhere. If you want a more youthful skin, I would just suggest using different types of skincare. I'd go for skincare over an actual procedure, because this is something that's is way less invasive. And then on top of that, it's also, you can try it. If it doesn't work for you, you can move on to something else. And you can kind of test the waters with this without actually endangering yourself. Blood is dangerous. Anything that has to do with blood is risky, and this is a very risky procedure. I imagine that Kim Kardashian's got, you know, the highest of highest paid people who've got everything sterilized and this and that. But even then, it really, really still is a risky procedure, and I would just not do it. I would just not do it and stick to skincare. Just stick to skincare that's gonna, you know, help you remove some fine lines and give you a little bit more, you know, of what you're looking for. That's so much easier to stop if you're having some sort of reaction than to do this and end up like these poor women who ended up with HIV and hepatitis B and C. Like, for real, if there is any type of beauty procedure that involves blood in a way like this does, just stay 150 million miles away. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Just stay away and stick to your normal, regular skincare, because you can always change that. This is a kind of forever thing if you have any sort of complications. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some more unsafe beauty treatments. And maybe some ways that you could get the same effect without doing that treatment.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, before the break, we were talking about unsafe beauty treatments. Now, we talked about vampire facials. Now, I want to talk about the Brazilian butt lift. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to go out and do this, but I really wanted to put this in here because it is called the most dangerous treatment that you can have. The Brazilian butt lift has actually killed as many as 1 in 3,000 patients, as warned by a recent task force of international board-certified plastic surgeon societies, which is including like the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. So they really want to bring it home that this is one of the most dangerous procedures that you can get. That's why I added this in here, just because it's this dangerous, and just in case there's someone out there listening and is thinking about it, then maybe you can go a different route. So, like I said, the recent task force of international board-certified plastic surgeon societies is really warning people about this. And let's talk about this. So, this combines, like a Brazilian butt lift, combines liposuction with fat grafting. Now, fat grafting is injecting fat into the buttocks to make it seem fuller. Now, 20,300 butt augmentations using fat grafting were performed in 2017 alone. That's more than doubled in the last 5 years. So it's just, this is a big thing. This is one of the reasons I want to talk about it, is it's just so big, these butt augmentations, and using this fat grafting technique, which I think we obviously need to stay away from. Now, a Bronx woman was charged with manslaughter after illegally and unfortunately lethally injecting a patient with silicone in the buttocks. Now, this is like the vampire facial, where, you know, there's a few big things that bring this into the media, but this really does come down to who you're going to. And also, this is just not a safe treatment as is. If you're looking to augment your butt, I would definitely go with somebody who knows what they're doing, but also maybe just working your butt out, working them glutes. That's a good way to do it. Also, I would definitely just love yourself. Like, that's honestly what I've talked about this before. It's just love yourself. Like, just, I love you. I love you for who you are. And I think every single woman, man, whatever you want to call yourself out there is stunning in your own skin. And if you really want to do this kind of augmentation, if you want a different butt shape, then go a safer route than this. Definitely go with the working out and the eating differently. Talk to somebody who works out a lot. Talk to a workout instructor or a professional or something like that to achieve what you're looking for without something like this. This is just way too dangerous. And actually, like we talked, Kim Kardashian was making vampire facials popular. Cardi B talked about her butt augmentation, her Brazilian butt lift. Now, she didn't do it the same way that Kim Kardashian was doing the vampire facials, where she was promoting that. Cardi B actually, I think it was GQ that she told that she did this in what she called a Queen's Basement clinic for $800. And she said it was was the craziest pain ever, and that it leaked for 5 days. That's disgusting. Ugh. Could you imagine? Oh, no thank you. But I kind of like the fact, like, I personally don't know much about Cardi B. I just don't know really that much who she is. I think she makes music, but I really like the fact that she came out and told, the world about this. Like, she went and made this bad decision, and it was a bad decision. She did this in the improper way, and she shouldn't have done this, and I really commend her for doing that and coming out and talking about the issues with this, because there really are so many better ways to go about this. Like I said, you need to talk to a professional if this is what you really want, and go the natural route if you can. If you really can, just work it out, do it that way, and that's going to be best. But I honestly think number one thing, if it comes to this, is just love your body as it is. Because there's only one of you. There's only one of me. There's only one of them. Like, there's only one of you, and you are you, and you are the best you, and you are stunning the absolute way you are. You really are. I promise. Go look in a mirror and look at yourself and be like, wow, I look great, because you do, like, for real. And I mean, I understand if you feel like this is something you need, but go a different route than a Brazilian butt lift and stay 100 million fulfillion, if that's even a number, miles, light years away from fat grafting, because obviously this is so dangerous. And also, if you're gonna go a plastic surgery route, go with somebody who is very, very well known, who really knows what they're doing, has a lot of years of work and just school and all that kind of thing under their belt. Don't just go straight in for the first person you see. And that goes with every single type of surgery you want to do. Whether, it's a nose job, or even if you just want a little bit of fillers here and there. Do your research. That's honestly what a lot of this is just if you're going to do something that's a little far when it comes to the treatments, if it involves a doctor, then make sure you're going to a doctor. Make sure you're going to a reputable doctor, somebody who has all the school under their belt and all the time doing this, and lots of happy patients, because the last thing you want is to be like Cardi B in this situation, or to be like the poor people in Albuquerque, or the poor other people, like this poor woman that this Bronx woman did this to. You want to be the one that came out happy. That's what you want, and that's what you should be. You should always be happy with any type of beauty treatment that you do. And you should never, be unhappy with what you've paid a lot of money for. And you should do your research. Do your research, save up your money. Don't go in cheap. Don't go in cheap. That's another thing with this, is if you're looking to do something that's going to be a big cost thing, save your money. Save your money and go in and get it done right. Get it done properly by somebody who is reputable and for the amount of money that it should be, honestly. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then we're going to move on. We're going to take a break real quick. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to move on to some more unsafe beauty treatments.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, before the break and this entire podcast, we've been talking unsafe beauty treatments. Now, before the break, we talked about Brazilian butt lifts. Now, let's keep it in this Brazilian family and talk about Brazilian blowouts. Now, honestly, I thought about doing this forever because I saw the results of Brazilian blowouts. I'm like, man, it makes your hair look so thick and so sleek, and it gets rid of all this frizz, and it makes it look shiny and soft. And then I heard this when I was looking into actually possibly doing it myself. So Brazilian blowouts are supposed to leave most hair shiny, soft, and frizz-free for months at a time. That's why I was like so into the idea of it. But it turns out that the chemicals they use contains a high level of formaldehyde, which is, according to lab results almost 12%. That is, okay, formaldehyde, too much and generous. And it also produces noxious fumes. I can never say that word. Noxious. Noxious fumes? Okay, anyway, but formaldehyde, for those who don't know, is a recognized carcinogen by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and other government agencies. So obviously not a good thing. Not a good thing for people. Now, even repeat treatment, I found, can actually cause severe scalp irritation and possibly hair loss. Now look, I saw so many people online doing this. They're like, I just got a Brazilian blowout and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, that looks stunning. I want that hair. I always have issues with my hair. That's just me personally. But when I started looking into this just for myself, I saw the stuff about formaldehyde and I was like, no. Now, actually, there was a company that came out, and right after they, started putting out that there is formaldehyde in this, and they were like, hey, we have a formaldehyde-free one. And it turns out they were lying, they were caught lying, and are now paying just around $5 million in damages. So I would definitely not go with a Brazilian blowout if you're thinking about it. I'm not going to do it, and you should definitely not do it. So let's talk about some other ways that might help with your frizziness or your dullness or whatnot. Products can always help. Now, if you got dry hair, I've got dry hair. I'm just myself, the Sahara Desert is my body. I am so dry everywhere. And, a good flat iron helps. I find to get rid of frizz and to get that sleek, nice look, I use a little bit of like an oil, a little hair oil, not a lot, just a small bit, on my hair, focusing mostly towards the ends and not so much at the top because I don't want my hair to look oily. But I do that because it'll also protect from the heat, and then I just use a flat iron, and I use a good flat iron. That's the thing. You gotta go for a good flat iron, not just a super cheap one, and that actually really can elevate, the sleeky, the shininess, and the effect you get. That's what I'm looking for. So that works the most for me with dry hair. Now, if you've got oily hair, one of the things that you can do too is to go for a natural shampoo, and also just in general back off on shampooing, as much as you are. And that kind of goes for everybody. Don't shampoo every day. They say for dry hair too, I haven't tried this just because I'm kind of scared of it. They say to cut out shampoo altogether, and I don't know about that for me. I don't know. Or just reduce it a lot, and I just feel nervous about doing that, to be honest. Just because I'm used to always, shampooing and conditioning my hair and whatnot, and I don't know. But I'll have to try just kind of cutting back on that shampoo and see if it works, and I'll let you guys know. We're on social media, and you guys should be following us at GSMC_beauty tips on Twitter, and I'll update you guys if I try this and let you guys know. We always post great stuff on there, not just me, but the other hosts as well. We post all sorts of stuff there, and you should totally come connect with us. Also on our Facebook, GSMC Beauty Tips, and come tell us if you've done any of these. Did you ever have a Brazilian blowout? Were you thinking about it and now you're like, nah, not about it? Or any of these procedures, or if you've heard of any procedures that I end up not talking about in this podcast that are supposed to be dangerous, just to kind of bring them to light. Also, any beauty procedures that you guys like. Not all beauty procedures are dangerous. I'm just trying to talk about some that are dangerous just in case you're thinking about doing it, like I was thinking about doing this Brazilian blowout. I'm honestly so glad I never did, especially after reading this. Formaldehyde is terrible. And when I was like, oh, that's in there? Never mind, I'm out. But on the real though, let us know if, what your favorite treatments are on the GSMC_beauty tips Twitter or on our Facebook as well, because we're both on there and we'd love to hear. I'd love to hear on what your guys' favorite are, and maybe, try some new stuff out, or maybe you'll inspire some other people who are reading it to try that kind of stuff out too. I'm not like I said, I'm not trying to deter you from any type of beauty treatments or procedures or whatnot, because it's to each your own, but I do just want to warn you of ones that aren't safe. And maybe we'll talk about some in another podcast about some that are actually great. Some beauty treatments that I highly recommend and that are actually really, really good for you. But like I said, we were talking about Brazilian blowout. Let's not get 100% off track here. We're talking about the Brazilian blowouts. Like, if you're thinking about it, just don't do it. It's these Brazilian ones. Brazilian butt lift, Brazilian blowout. But, really, they have formaldehyde in it. Just stay away as much as possible. Do your hair natural. Do it whatever way you want, but stay away from this because it's not safe at all. I mean, like I said, if you've got more oily hair, maybe try more natural shampoo and a little less shampooing throughout the week. And maybe that'll help you out a little bit. And if you've got drier hair and you're looking for that sleek, frizz-free, definitely look for a nice iron and cut back on the shampooing as well. I think it really comes back to kind of cutting back on the shampooing when it comes to frizz-free and sleek and shiny. I need to cut back on the shampooing. I for sure should probably shampoo more than I honestly should, but that's what I'm recommending, is do that. Just try to do things in a more natural way instead of going the chemical route, or at least before deciding to go the chemical route, which I do not recommend. 110% don't recommend. Once again, that's a thing you should not touch with like a 35-foot pole. Just leave it be and move on. Just like a regular blow out your hair. Also, there are so many products that are to help kind of combat frizz and whatnot, and those things can actually really help. Like little, I think Frizzies has a little product that helps with that, and I used to use that when I was younger, and man, I loved that stuff. I should get some stuff like that. I don't know. I need to take a walk over to a place with hair products and just go check some out. Okay, before I keep rambling, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some more unsafe beauty treatments.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, before the break, we were talking unsafe beauty treatments. Now, we talked Brazilian blowouts. Let's talk about spray tans. Now, this is something I have never personally partaken in. I'm just not one for self-tanning in general in any way. And also, you should just never tanning bed. I just want to throw that in there. Tanning beds are so dangerous. Please stay away. It's also like super addictive apparently, so I would also stay away from that. But we're going to talk about spray tans. Now, let's talk about a chemical that's in spray tan. I am going to butcher this name, so please bear with me. It is dihydroxyacetone, I think, but it's also called DHA, so I'm going to call it DHA. So DHA is actually a non-toxic, simple sugar that interacts with the top layer of skin to give it that kind of not really from the sun glow. Now, along with that, it's also got synthetic dyes. Like, it's loaded with synthetic dyes as well. So this is the stuff that's in the spray tan. Now, the spray is the issue here. It's not so much these chemicals, but it's definitely the spray. The FDA is actually warning against the inhalation of DHA and also of the synthetic dyes that you actually should not even absorb through your skin. So the synthetic dyes you shouldn't absorb through your skin. The DHA seems to be okay as long as you don't inhale it. That seems to be the big thing. Now, let's talk about some alternatives to this. So tanning lotions are fine, not sprays. No tanning sprays. You want to stay away from the spray. It's the inhalation that's the problem here. Now, tanning lotions are okay, but you need to look for things without dyes or synthetic fragrances. This is what's really going to be the best for you. These synthetic fragrances and dyes are not good for you. I know that the synthetic fragrances are not good for skin either way, but also any sort of fragrance can be an irritant to skin just in general. Now, that's true with pretty much everything. I've got super sensitive skin. I think I've said that a million times on this podcast already, but so I'm always looking for products that are non-scented. I use a lot of non-scented products, and if I am using something that's scented, I always test it beforehand because it can give the skin a reaction. And a lot of times things are over-scented, and that is what gives the reaction, but sometimes there are things with a little scent that are okay. Now, like I said, just stick to your tanning lotions if you're into tanning. I know that regular sunbathing and stuff like that can lead to skin cancer and that kind of thing. And so definitely can tanning beds. Like, tanning beds are 100% no-go. Those actually will kind of lead into my next topic. So, just stay away from tanning beds, stick to your tanning lotions, but look for things without dyes or synthetic fragrances, and this will be really good for you. So if you're looking on doing a spray tan as one of your beauty treatments, you want to treat yourself, you're going to spray tan, I would just go to the store and get a tanning lotion and go from there. Trust me, it's going to be so much better for you. Also, there are specific tanning like waters for your face, and maybe that would be better for your face while you use a tanning lotion for the rest of your body. Just look into that, because sometimes tanning lotions can irritate the face. Now, as I was talking about tanning beds and outside tanning, let's move on to gel manicures. Now, I love a good gel manicure. I am really trying not to. I've still got some gel manicure on my nail from like Halloween time. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's bad. I really need to get this off my fingers. And I know that it's bad. Just gel manicures in general are not a good thing. So let's talk about that. So it's the artificial UV that's the problem. It's those little lamps that they put your hands under. It's not so much the product itself. So those can give you a risk of skin cancer. And so they say just go for regular polish, or if you're like dying to do it, it's to put some sunscreen on your fingers. I would stick with going with regular polish. Also, the thing that I found is an issue and why I'm really stopping, and I also don't go enough to possibly do this. I go every once in a blue moon. But it really does make your nails pretty brittle and kind of makes them break off a lot easier, I found. And that's kind of why I'm straying from it after this. Just stick to regular polish. That's the best thing you can do. Regular polishes, there's so many different types of polishes now that actually, kind of mimic a gel polish without having to stick your fingers underneath the UV light. And this whole UV light thing is more for somebody who's going every few weeks. That is where you're getting your higher risk of possibility of skin cancer or skin irritation or anything along those lines. I mean, like I said, I don't go very often. I go every once in a blue moon. And when I go, I'm like, ooh, I want a gel manicure because it'll last forever. Obviously, I've still got it on from like Halloween time. I need to get it off. I know it's gross, but I really like, the big thing I noticed was the brittleness, and I usually have pretty strong fingernails. And so when I noticed that my fingernails were not feeling the greatest, I was kind of like, yeah, I need to stop. And my sister was like, Colleen, you just need to stop. That's gross. She gets her nails done all the time, but I think she has moved over officially to just regular polish, and I'm going to do the same. I have a friend who used to live here. I miss her a lot. And we would do our nails all the time together. And like every Monday, I think it was. And we always use regular polish. And the fun thing about that is she would come over and we would do like nail stamps and stickers and little rhinestones and stuff. And we used just regular polish so we could take it off and do it again the next week. That's the fun part about it too, is with your regular polish, you can switch it up all the time. And so go with the regular polish, skip the gel manicures. I'm going to start skipping the gel manicures, even though I do love a good gel manicure. I feel so bad I saw this. I was like, I don't want to talk about this, but I should, because I am a victim of this gel manicure issue. Just because it looks so good and you can do so many cool things with it. But the thing that people aren't talking about is you can do so many cool things with regular polish. And you can change it up as much as you want. And you can do so much with regular polish. You really can. You can do so much fun nail art, and you can take it off and do it again. Also, doing a peel-off base coat is fun, and that can get it off in one go, and then you can do it again. Like, that's, I don't know. I'm just trying to justify regular polish to myself right now. It is really fun. I really need to stick to the regular polish. Once I get all this old gel polish off, I'm going 100% no gel manicures. Unfortunately, because I do love a gel manicure, like I said. And I really think you guys should listen to this too, because it can, it's not a good thing. Not a good thing for your fingers. So I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to talk some more unsafe beauty treatments.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast and before the break, we've been talking about unsafe beauty treatments. Now, I was just talking about unsafe beauty treatments in the now. We talked gel manicures, spray tans, that kind of thing. And earlier on, we talked about very unsafe treatments, beauty treatments, from way back when that we do not do today. And I wanted to talk just a few more of those to kind of lighten it up with some weird stuff that we used to do. Like, this is the thing. So, we're going to bring it back around, and let's talk about belladonna. Now, you've probably heard about belladonna. Now, belladonna is also called deadly nightshade. Now, Italian women used to use this as an eye drop. First off, okay, let me tell you why. They used belladonna as an eye drop to dilate their pupils, which supposedly made them more attractive. Now, I don't know about your pupils being dilated, which make you more attractive. I know about, like, apparently when you're in love, your pupils are dilated or something like that, but I don't know. I also don't know if that's true. Honestly, I don't know if that's true. But, so doing this, first off, belladonna can cause, if you put it in your eyes, can cause visual distortion, sensitivity to light, and it can kill you. That's just it. Like, it can kill you. That's just, I don't know why you would do that in the first place. Obviously, we don't do that now. I know that a lot of people use, like, contacts that are a little bit bigger to make their eyes look bigger, and those are also kind of dangerous. Just saying. But let's move on to hair horrors. Now, we talked about the Brazilian blowouts. Wanted one, not gonna get one, formaldehyde. That's what I'm saying. But let's talk about some serious hair horrors from the 1700s. Now, everybody in the 1700s, wanted the highest hair. And I'm talking hair to the moon. Now, to get the highest hair, they would use wooden and iron frames along with leather horsehair pads and lots of extensions. Okay, this is where it gets even weirder. Then, hair was curled with hot tongs covered in lard to hold it in place. And then to top all that off, that really tall, wrapped around, curled with lard tongs hair, you powdered it with lead. Yeah. So they're taking these frames and extensions, they're curling the hair with the hot tongs covered in lard, and then to hold it all in with everything, you powder it with lead. Whew. And of course, you did all this. You're not going to wash it for a while. You want this hair. Like, this is the hair that you want. You worked real hard on this. You sat through getting it up real high and using the lard and the hot tongs and the lead, and you worked so hard on this. So of course, you're not going to wash it for a while. So what comes along with that? The vermin and the lice. This is no joke. Now this is where it gets even stranger. Okay, so, okay. So along with that, with your vermin in your hair, women required long scratching sticks, which they carried with them everywhere. And there were even reports of women wearing cages around their hair at night to keep the mice away. Now, obviously, this is something we don't do anymore. I thought it would just kind of be a really interesting fact to throw in here at the end, but that's dangerous, and the whole point of this is to talk about things that are dangerous, just in case you're thinking about doing it, or it's something you do all the time, like the gel manicure thing. I didn't know that until recently, and I thought it was really good to share with people, and I really just want to share this with you. Now, not all beauty treatments are unsafe. Not all beauty treatments are something you should stay away from. Beauty treatments are great. Facials are great. Getting your hair done at the salon is great. You know, all this stuff is good. And you can do it and it's fine for you. But I just wanted to point out some that are a little dangerous and that you should stay away from. Now, like I said, to each your own. Do what you like. I'm not stopping you from doing anything. I just wanted to fill you up with these. And I did give you some tips on some alternatives for some things. Because, you know, I don't want to say, oh, you can't do this, and then that's it. You know, obviously I want to give you a little bit of something there. I couldn't give you very much when it comes to some of the stuff, but when it came to a lot of it, I could give you some tips that would really help. Now, I honestly, I talked about this earlier, and I really want to know your favorite beauty treatments. This isn't so much a treatment, but it's like a treat yourself. I love a good face mask and good skincare, and I would count that as a beauty treatment. Because we talked earlier about the vampire facial and what it does to your skin, and honestly, the best thing to do is just go skincare. And skincare can be a treatment. You know, just skincare is my favorite. That's the whole thing. Also, getting your hair done is really nice, you know, because someone else is doing your hair. You're not touching it. I had my hair cut the other day, and I'm still fixing my bangs today. But still, it's those kind of things that are, you know, part of everyday life, and they're fine to do. Treat yourself. You should. For real, treat yourself. And tweet me at GSMC_beauty tips. Tweet me. Tweet me your favorite beauty treatments. And also, if you've heard of any beauty treatments that are unsafe that I actually didn't talk about, inform somebody else. For real, inform me. Inform someone else that might be, you know, looking through and is like, oh, she didn't talk about that, but that could be dangerous. Inform me. Inform some other people. Let me know what I didn't talk about, and let me know what beauty treatments you like, because maybe I've never heard of this beauty treatment, or I don't do it and I want to give it a try, or somebody else. For real. Come and talk with me on the social media at GSMC_beauty tips. and that's on Twitter. And then we are GSMC Beauty Tips on Facebook, and we are there to talk to you guys. For real, we're there to connect with you guys about what we've talked about. We're here for you. We love you. You guys are stunning and beautiful all the time, just forever, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for sitting here and listening, or doing whatever you're doing and listening to me ramble about some unsafe treatments. Thanks for letting me do this. Honestly, I love talking to you guys, and I hope you guys like listening to me. Thank you so much. And once again, I want to thank you for listening to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colleen, and you guys are wonderful. I will talk to you in the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from health and wellness to entertainment and life and happiness to sex and relationships. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast.